the Harris County Appraisal District, meeting order of 9:30. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is a roll call. Please let the record show all members are present, except for Mr. Stein. And review and approve minutes of the regular meeting of December 16. Do I hear a motion? So moved. And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
And a presentation of employee service award, Mr. Roberts.
We have several, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin with the 10-year award. Joseph O'Lear. There he is. Joseph joined the district on January 18, 2000 as an appraiser trainee in the Field Operations Division, and he has progressed through the ranks and today is a residential valuation analyst in the Residential Property Division. He started with us on January 9, 1995 as an appraiser trainee in the Personal Property Division, and he currently is a Commercial Valuation Analyst 3 in the Commercial Property Division. Alvin, thank you for your years of service. Block started as an appraiser trainee in the Personal Property Division on January 9, 1995, and he now is a Research Associate 2 in the Review Appraisal section. Block, congratulations. Sherry joined the district on January 17, 1995 as an appraiser 1 in the Residential Property Division, and she now is still in the Residential Property Division where she's a Residential Valuation Analyst 4. Sherry, thank you for all your work.
All right. Good time now for comments from members of the public. Any person wishing to address the board on matters within our jurisdiction may speak. You'll have 3 minutes to speak if you've not appeared at any of the 4 preceding meetings, or if your comments relate to an item for action on our agenda. I have 1 minute to speak if you've been here within the last several months. And we're now open for public comments. Please tell us who you are, sir, and where you live.
My name is Steve Hance, Hance, 5304 Sims Brook. My thing is under 9514, and what my grief is that I was in binding arbitration, and I had been working with one person, and then from open records or whatever, it said they needed a stronger arbitrator. Now, I got hit by a school bus and knocked 15 car lengths down the freeway. And it was an airplane crash also. People snuck into the place that used to be at my display area and dumped a bunch of trash. I had 3 bids that were over $100,000 just to clean it up. And then after the hurricane, it was twice as bad as it was. And they weren't fair to me because they kept changing arbitrators. And your system of binding arbitration shouldn't be an inside deal where they figure out who's, as a taxpayer, I ought to have the opportunity to pick 3 different people that, because y'all have several people, and the person that you picked was biased, didn't look at the facts, and was unfair. in your system, and binding arbitration is unfair.
Was he one of the three people that you gave us names for?
I gave you, my choice and it was ignored. And I was fine with the person that I had in the beginning, cause he was, you know, a nice person. And then it says, seems to have a difficult time understanding what he's being told. The your arbitrator that you gave me first. Well, I talked to him several times. I didn't have any problem talking to him. Since the case involves Steve Hance and Dan Hart, the district feels that a stronger arbitrator will be more appropriate. You know, that's not fair. That's just running over me, and they ignored how terrible a situation the place was and overcharged me for the taxes when the property would have a minus $50,000 or $60,000 value if I cleaned it up, and now it's twice as bad since every single thing fell down in the hurricane.
Do you understand the arbitrators don't work for us?
Do you understand there's not a fair way to get the arbitrator if you're doing binding arbitration? Because there's an inside trading agreement between your appraisal district and the arbitrator?
That's not correct, Mr. Hance. Arbitrators are selected by the state controller.
Well, then what does this mean? Seems to have Mr. Rayburn was my first guy. Since he has had trouble understanding and has problems, why they let him talk to me in the first place? Since this case involves Steve Hance and Dan Hart, because Dan Hart always helped me, you know, for years, and y'all introduced me to him because nobody else would help him, because I have a closed head injury. Okay, and then I get hit by a bus on top of it. But anyway, the district feels that a stronger arbitrator will be more appropriate. Sherry has had Mr. Rayburn in arbitration where he had to use the bathroom. And instructed both property owners and the district, he had to get up and leave. I do not believe this conduct is beneficial to either party. But then when I did get the arbitrator I had, he completely ignored my facts. And then once they set up that value, well, then that's the value of this. And I've been trying to get a grant. I try to get an SBA loan. I don't make enough money to get a loan. And there are 2 schools on my property. I can't clean up my property. I don't have any money. I can't get a grant. And get overcharged on my taxes. And then when I went to my hearing, it's like a kangaroo court. It's predestined what's gonna happen.
Again, we did not select the arbitrator. The controller assigns, state controller of public accounts assigned the arbitrator.
The district, here's the last sentence, the district would like to have a strong arbitrator appointed due to the complexity of this case. Complexity of the case? Well, it's complex. Does it sound complex? You want this copy? This is the last.
I'm not an arbitrator, but if you will give the lady right there, she will give it to me after the meeting.
And so I just think that since you can't have a small claims court system, that at least your binding arbitration ought to be 100% above board, and the taxpayer ought to be able to have a list to tell you what is going on the properties, so you don't have to retry every year. It takes all my energy, because I have such a hard time operating anyway, to refight a fight that already happened the year before. Why do we have to do it over and over and over again and steal all this energy from me that I don't have that much ability anyway, because I have some cognitive issues? And it just, why can't every person had a form to submit to say, these are the characteristics of my property this year, and give every individual a chance to give you their side of the story instead of having a plane fly over and then just ignore everything that happened the year before. It costs you a lot of money and it terrorizes every taxpayer. And my dad was a counselor at Madison High School and died at 46 and drove a bus. And I made a whole lot of money in the eighties. I was on television. Everybody's copies what I invented. And I started when I was 16 and paid my own way to go to private high school. And I worked very hard my whole life. So I just don't understand why y'all don't try to overcompensate for, especially since Houston's had hurricanes. How can you have a bus driver that doesn't even have a license? They arrested her and put her in jail. How do you have a freeway where there's been 500 accidents on farmers and nobody marks the freeway to slow down? I met with Governor Perry for it. I don't understand.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Doreen Steiner-Burdick, and I'm here on behalf of Coach Hart. Also, I would also like to address just a quick issue here. Pursuant to your board meetings, each regularly scheduled meeting, the chairperson of the board of directors will announce that anyone wishing to address the board on appeal of district policies, procedures, and issues may have 5 minutes.
That policy was changed last year.
Okay, this is a
We're
year ago.
following the
On January.
Commissioner's Court setup.
So
for 3
now,
minutes.
okay, because we base that on this procedure, so just, I'll do my best to stay within the 3-minute criteria. Okay, this is a letter, that was addressed to Glenn Peters, Chair of the Harris County Appraisal District, from Riggs, Alshire, and Ray. And this is a request by Coach Hart that Hcad support public access to public records. This letter is written on behalf of their client, Dan Hart, Coach Dan Hart. In the interest of property owners and taxpayers, Coach Hart sought to comment on proposed new state licensing rules on training appraisers who work for appraisal districts such as Hcad. The proposed rules of the Texas Commission on Licensing and Regulation, TCLR, listed specific training courses by name that appraisers would be required to take. Coach Hart asked to see copies of the actual training material so he and other taxpayers could evaluate what training the proposed rules actually required. Instead of providing copies of the training material to Coach Hart, the TCLR submitted the issue to the Texas Attorney General for an open records ruling because the Texas Association of Appraisal District, TAD, and their subunit, the Property Tax Education Coalition, PTEC, claimed to own the training materials and that they were a trade secret. Coach Hart is challenging that claim by TCLR and TAD. The open records rulings request is number 369016. You may be aware that the training materials were, in fact, created by taxpayer-paid employees of appraisal districts, including the Hcad. 2 Hcad employees, your chief deputy, and general counsel Stan Stifer, and assistant chief appraiser Guy Grissom, have offered some of these training courses. So the taxpayers of Harris County had their taxes used to create records that a statewide association of local governmental entities, TAD, now claims to own and claims the right to withhold disclosure of the taxpayer finance training courses from the taxpayers who helped pay for the courses in the first place. Coach Hart asked you, the board of directors of the Harris County Appraisal District, to stand with him and the taxpayers of Harris County and object to this confiscation of public records and the denial of public access to these public records. Coach Hart asked the board to submit a resolution to the Texas Attorney General supporting a ruling that the training course materials are not the trade secret property of TAD or PTEC, but are public records that should be available to the public who paid for them.
Thank you.
Coach
Your
Hart,
time is up.
is that 3 minutes?
That's 3.
Okay.
Let me just say that
One left.
we know that these people write the books and they do not write them on county time or Hcad time.
Mhm.
Just like many professors at U of H write textbooks, they do not write them on U of H time. Same thing happens here. I don't know where this assertion came from, but it's patently false.
Are they paid by taxpayer funds?
Not while they're writing the books.
So they're contract labor?
No,
They write them in their private capacity, away from here. They do not write textbooks here. That's a misconception Mr. Hart has labored under for years, and he has refused to acknowledge that that's incorrect.
Well, I believe that I'm not an attorney, although I know that the records, the information, and all of the documents that are being discussed at this issue have been forwarded to Riggs, Alshard, and Ray. And that Bill Alshard has stated in here in this letter that is, as I said, directed to the chair, basically has all the information. And I feel that he is well versed on this, far more than me. So therefore, I still think that there's an issue on that area.
Mr. Alshar labors under the delusion that they write them on Hcad time. He also is misinformed.
It's not for me to argue. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time. Would anybody else like to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are y'all doing today?
Fine.
Janice Phillips with O'Connor and Associates. We are closing in on the 2009 hearing season, and I know I have very limited time, so I'm just going to say, yay, we're almost there. We show 400 left to be scheduled. I do have one topic today, and that topic is the 2009 no-shows. Our general counsel.
Good morning. Please
Good
tell us
morning,
your
ladies
name.
and gentlemen. Bobby Joe Cassell is my name. And I've been wanting to come before your board for a long time. I'd like to leave you some information today. As Mr. Robinson knows, he and I have been collaborating through letters recently, and I have made some demands of him. We've had a lengthy discussion with Mr. Vasquez at his office a few weeks ago, and he was supposed to get back with us so we could correct some of these abusive actions Hcad has taken. What I'd like to do, so I don't run out of time, first of all, I'd like to give you a copy of the, it's called the Bobby Joe Cassell Papers. It's online. Some newspapers have covered it, but it includes some of my complaints about Hcad and some demands on the Appraisal District System. Let me go backwards and I'll come forward. I'm asking, as of a few weeks ago, that Hcad turns all of its complaints over to the District Attorney's Office. Are any of you aware of that request? Or is anyone at all aware of that request?
No.
I need to know yes or no. No? Okay. Let me pass these on.
Give those to Charlene, please, and she will give them to us after the meeting.
This is for the board. I also have a letter here from State Representative Fred Hill, who has sent a letter back in 1903, whereby he has heard a bunch of complaints about Hcad. This goes back to 1903, and some of these issues still occur today, and the board has not addressed these complaints. And I'd like to leave 6 letters with the lady here also. What I'd like to ask you very strongly is to read every sentence in the Bobby Joe Cassell Papers, okay, and absorb them very, very carefully. Mr. Vasquez, I am disappointed that you didn't call me back. I've called your office, and I've called your office several times for a follow-up meeting. And as you know, you and myself and several of my taxpayer colleagues in Harris County has met with you, and you promised me that you've heard the complaints, you have these papers, and you promised me to leave it back with me when you had it ready. One thing that I did ask you is, maybe through you, I finally got my my ARV tapes, the audio and visual, and I think maybe after I spoke with you, Hcad released them. But until that point, Hcad would not call me back and offer me the request that I had for the tapes and the tape and video. So maybe after the meeting, we can get together or at your office sometime, let's discuss this further. And I also have a letter, my last letter to Hcad, which is included in here also. I think it mentions that that I made some comments, closing comments, at the ARB meeting, which were deleted from the tape. And that's an important issue. If someone is messing with tampering with government records, anytime we make a meeting from start to beginning, or from start to the end, we need to know what we said, and everyone needs to know what we said. So I'm asking you, your office, to investigate what happened to those tapes, because I want to hear all the conversation. We have video and audio. I'm going to pass out excuse me, the last letter that I have in this deal. It's a separate letter, and I'd like to have you all look at it also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Mr. Casal, I yesterday mailed you a response to the last letter that you had sent to me. You should be getting it perhaps this week.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, man, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bobby Jordan. I'm from Northeast Houston. I'm here in concerns for Hcad wasting our time, money, and interfering in our lives. We're having to come down here continuously to correct records over and over. Here on the 18th, I sit down in front of the computer for an hour, and I'm gonna give these to the lady. They're 15 MLS records, active MLS records. They're anywhere from 2% to 49% under Hcad values. There's no excuse for that. If a person is trying to sell a house for 49% less than what Hcad has it valued at, there's a problem. So I'd like to give these to you. Right here are 26 envelopes that Hcad mailed to us, cost of $84.24. And you could have done the same thing with a $5.50 envelope registered. It's just a waste of taxpayers' money. Also, during the hearings we've been to, I would figure the Houston Chronicle would be an unbiased third party. In our area, it said there was a decrease of 16%. Is it really funny, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, just your Chronicle comment, just sort of, I found it confusing.
Well, you know, I'm talking about the appraisal, you know.
Okay, yeah, no, that's serious, the
I
Chronicle
mean,
being unbiased.
they should have a reason. It's not my value, it's not your value, it's a third party. I'm sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, the Chronicle stated in our area there was a 16% drop in 2008 in the total values of the area. They'll increase our value by 33%. Hcad's paid $61 million a year to take care of these documents, get them accurate, and they're not doing it. And you just give that man a 3% pay rate. You know, as a taxpayer, I'm really disgusted with the system. And I think y'all are the ones in charge of it. You're the ones that are supposed to be putting and correcting it. And you hired him to do it. And I'd appreciate if y'all would take action to actually make these corrections, because the taxpayers are getting tired of it. If you didn't notice the election up north last night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Billy Harden. I'm going to read from a letter from the Riggs, Alshire and Ray firm concerning open records ruling request number 369016. Coach Hards desired to exercise his rights under the Administrative Procedure Act to comment on the proposed rule. I digress here. I'm going to read only highlighted parts of this letter so as to not take up too much time. Apparently, the comptroller reviewed and approved the training courses sight unseen. A purported trade secret interest of the Texas Association of Appraisal Districts, herein known as TAD, and their subunit, the Property Tax Education Coalition, also referred to as PTAC, under the TPIA section 552.110, the PTAC letter to the Attorney General dated December the 5th, 2009 regarding their claims. Both TAD and PTAC are organizations that are supported in whole or in part by public funds. In effect, this training course material has been initially created on public computers by public employees of appraisal districts. Then another governmental body, the TAD, has reimbursed the appraisal districts for the use of their public employees and equipment. Neither the TAD nor the PTAC should be permitted to, in effect, confiscate the public records under claims of private trade secrets and withhold such records from the public. The Hcad is used as taxpayer-paid personnel and equipment to produce the training materials, ownership of which is now claimed by the PTAC Incorporated. When the appraiser training is initially actually given using these training materials, the taxpayers again pay. This time paying for the CAD employees to take the training. The trainers are often employees of CAD whose public salaries are supplemented for giving the training. This unsupported conclusory allegation does not meet the standard to demonstrate a valid exception to disclosure under TPIA section 552.11b. Furthermore, the training course materials were obtained from the employees of the appraisal districts who created materials. We urge the Attorney General to rule that the PTAC has not demonstrated any basis for TDLR to withhold the training course materials from the public that were paid for by the taxpayers, created by public employees on public equipment, and turned over to an association of governmental entities, the TAD, that is generally supported by and governed by its member governmental entities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Betty, come on, Betty. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Morning.
We're certainly here to be congratulatory to you for this job that you do in service.
I'm sorry, sir, could you identify yourself for the,
And Hart.
Mr.
We
Hart?
look forward to meeting you personally and my girlfriend Betty Lee here. What I'd like to do is to have these packets given directly to you so you can follow me, or is that possible?
No, sir, if you'll give it
Right
to Ms.
here.
Charlene, she will give it to us
Give
after
her
the meeting.
packets there. Let the book stay right just like here. What I'd like to do, the proclamation is this. We received a tremendous service as far as open records. In just a few minutes, 2.5 days, a large sum of material from one tax agent, a super tax agent, and one Hcad appraiser that had been dealing with these 70 or so accounts for 3 years in a row in an informal situation mainly. We wanted to recognize that, and we're doing that by hoping that these two books on wild animals and baby animals will be put into the waiting area so that people have something to do while they're waiting on the number to be called. This is a precedent that's on the second page. It has been done at several appraisal districts already, and the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. If you elect not to follow that, I understand it. I would suggest, I'd like for you to pass them on to a school or a community organization, because they would be nice to the HISD or somewhere like that. Back to the initial statement in response that I raised my hand to when Mr. Robinson commented, I think it's very critical that we understand. David Montoya has sprung the box. He's let Pandora's box open. There's no doubt that we have checks from Billy Garthine's office linking up Hcad computers, Hcad's personnel, servicing these courses. So Mr. Robinson is totally incorrect that we don't have a linkage. What I want to do is ask this board to step up higher ground. And we ask you to do this. Open Sam's computer that he had bought years ago as a personal computer, and open Guy Griscom's and the rest of the people's public computers here, and let's find out if the courses are on those computers or not. That will solve a tremendous amount of problems. What I've tried to do in this document here called the State of Taxes, the changes, is to try to lay some important groundwork for you. First of all, I want us to do 3 things: the triangle of truth, the base of that triangle is something that Mr. Robinson has told me he agrees with, that being a uniform statewide manual that's charged by the legislature next session to do that. Also, we know that it's impossible. You have a self-reporting form that is in your hands right now, but it's only used on 2519Ls and that sort of thing. What we need to do is have a universal reporting form that you get the characteristics right before Hcad sets a halo on their head and says it's this by flying over or driving by. Now, once that's done, we have a better chance of having a lot less protest and a lot less money wasted. The other two sides of that triangle are these. We, as citizens of this county and throughout the state, should have the right to come to an appraisal district and have an appraiser representative and an ARB representative come forward when we have a question. Then that question shall be answered under penalty of law.
Thank you.
I asked for 3 minutes
You
for my
had
wife.
three and a quarter.
Pardon?
And you had 3 and a quarter.
No, I mean, I got, supposedly we got 3 minutes each.
You have 3 minutes each, right?
Okay,
She
well,
can
I'm
speak
going
for 3
3 minutes
minutes.
for her.
No, sir. She's,
I
Ms. Hardy.
explained to your taxpayer liaison person, and I'm really astonished that Mr. Robinson would put us under this, not join with me in saying I made a mistake in my website, because when Ms.
Mr. Hart, your time
Mason-
is up, sir. Thank you very much. Ms. Hart, if you would like to speak, you're more than welcome.
I cannot read. I am completely blind in one eye, and my other eye I cannot hardly see.
We'll see
And so
you-
he was going to do this.
We'll see you in court.
Can you give it to us in written form? We will be more than happy to read it.
They're not going to take it.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate it.
I have one statement to make. It's a disgrace.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Well, not funny.
I've got a question.
Public disgrace.
Tell us who you are, sir, please.
My name is David Nolder,
David.
Nolder,
Thank you.
I reside at 6538 Pine Walk. I have a question. Here's a story in the banner that was done on me. It's I have a piece of property, totally landlocked, with a very small right-of-way. The city would never let me develop this totally useless piece of property, just it sets back there 3 acres. Big deal. They raised me 271%. They've broken every law that's written by the state legislature. They've broken Texas law. They've broken all types of laws over here. Now, I have dropped off some of this information to the district attorney's office, and I am hoping for an investigation of this so-called organization here, because it just does not make sense. I went back to the ARB. They just look at me like I'm just totally stupid. No, I'm not stupid. I got a piece of property that I can't do anything with. It's totally, absolutely useless, and yet they think that they're going to, they got up to $463,000. Then they brought it down a little bit. But it was at 177 before. Now, one ARB member, one time, had some mentality. He said, let's bring it back down to where it was. The other two said, oh no, we'll override that. We'll just ignore that. One man with sense, and they just ignore it. Now, I just feel something's totally wrong. They shouldn't be able to break the laws like they do. And now, one more thing this year. They didn't change my assessment this year, but they did raise the assessment. It's just a small little house, not very big, compared to one that sits up here, great big mansion. That right there. Now, they went and, since they didn't change my appraisal, they raised it another 10% this year. Now, this big mansion only goes up every 2 years. Now, something is a little messy right there also. That doesn't make sense. It's just, I notice a lot of things that just not right here. When you break the law that's written by the legislature and you totally ignore it, don't even pay attention to it, well, that kind of reeks of things of what we fought against in World War II against Nazi Germany. What are we going to have to do? Have a salute over here like the Germans did, Sieg Heil? I mean, this is beyond belief here. So I think you guys had better look into what's going on, seriously.
Thank you. Let me just say one thing? I serve this country honorably, and I carry a disability that's service-connected, and it upsets me. I take personal, pardon me, man. Don't ever call me a Nazi.
I'm not referring to that.
Thank you very much.
Well, the point you are also.
Would anybody else like to address the board? Thank you. Item 7 is the administrative of the oath of office.
And Mr. Chairman, members,